Record.
Right.
There we go. That
Hello,
now.
hello, welcome back to the Muscle and Hustle podcast. Yes, you're right. I am back. Took a week's break. Tony held it down. Sorry for the delay in the podcast going up. New York Wi-Fi was not playing ball with Tony's high quality fucking videos.
My camera's fucking intense now for the reels. So yeah, you probably noticed if you did watch the YouTube, I fucking recorded some of it fucking wrong. I was supposed to be recorded. I'm used to recording everything in reels, so your camera is portrait rather than landscape. If that makes sense. So like
Yeah.
it's like tilted like an iPhone, rather than width. And then the problem is YouTube fucking freaks out. But the quality of the camera means like it's fucking, as you said, like a 30-minute video is like fucking 16 gigabytes or more. And
16 gigabyte and Wi-Fi in New York hotels just fucking does not like that at all. But it got up anyway. It's up and it's on Spotify. I'm sure you've noticed. I'm sure whoever's following has got a notification.
yeah,
Um,
well, it kicked in. Did you? Yeah, obviously you didn't listen to it, did you? It was just like quick fire Q&A. It was a lot of, it was very, very random. There was a good bit of fitness, it was good. Do you know what? I actually really enjoyed it. And I enjoy them because they're just like, they're just quick fire and they go so fast for me.
yeah, almost I didn't get a chance to because I was under pressure to get it up because we were getting a fair few messages from people wondering where the fucking
Well,
podcast was.
I held up my side of the bargain. Joe Mickey wasn't there. I videoed it, uploaded it, but you're here.
Oh no,
Can't
it
get the
was all.
staff.
You know what? Blame the Paramount Hotel off Times Square for shit internet. Well, not shit internet, just not good enough internet. But also the fact I was fucking hanging out my ass and I wasn't. It had cancelled itself when it was halfway down twice, and I just went fuck it, no, and I texted Tony, and I was like, I can't go through this again. And then we realized that we could just rip it off YouTube, and it would take about 20 minutes.
Yeah, far handier. But it's because YouTube downgrades the quality. What you were getting was like 4K fucking metal footage.
But because I only needed the audio, it was perfect. It was
Yeah,
perfect
so
for what I did. But we have no real topic this week, but we do have a really good question that came in from. We have a couple of good questions.
so
But we have
go
we have
for
a
it.
really good one here, right? This guy's like he's loving the podcast. Cheers, lads. I'm in quite a tricky position. I currently live in a rural area where there only is GA and farming, and I don't fit into either. I'm in a temporary job where I don't see myself ever progressing. I've long graduated from university, but I've never put the degree to use. I would love to start a new life elsewhere, but everybody is getting older. Have you got any advice about traveling while folks are getting older, or what would you do in this situation? This is from an anonymous person, but
I would say their age has to be somewhere around the 30 mark, just shy of it. Maybe my age, like 28. I would personally say don't fall into the trap that you need to have your life sorted by a certain age bracket. I think especially now, like I'm 28, turning 29, and what I notice now is like I meet people, like I was out for a walk with family today, people 3, 4 years younger than me that are settled with a family, with a mortgage, with 2 kids, and they're like 25.
yeah,
And there's nothing wrong with it. That's their life. But the problem is society dictates that, like, if you're not following that path of you get a degree, you follow the job, and then you're engaged by 27, you're married by 30, and you have kids by 35, and you've it all sussed that you're a failure when you're not. It's just like people assume that success means money when it doesn't. Success doesn't mean stable job. And I know people in Bali that were living pretty much in fucking huts, and they're the happiest people I know. So for me, are you letting others dictate your life and what you do by it? Because if you're generally not in a good place and you're like, this isn't for me, this isn't what I want to do, then you're the only reason that you're in that situation. You have to take responsibility for it and go, I am keeping myself here. Like you can say, oh, but Joe, I'm at this age, and they're all just you justifying to yourself, which is giving you an excuse.
yeah,
So it's frustrating because we all do this too. Like Joe, I'll say, oh, this or that. But it's one of the things where I feel that pressure. Like I feel like, fuck, Joe, I was in a long-term relationship. Now I'm out of it. I'm single, and you see everybody settling down. You do feel that like initial pressure. Like I've had somebody say to me the other week, being like, "Oh, you need to get a move on, Joe, out in the dating scene because you don't want to be 30 older than 30 and Joe single and you're getting a scrape." And I was like, I just turned around and was like, I was so close to calling the person out and being like, "You've got to be joking me. You're telling me this." But it's one of the things where you just have to go. what do I want, and then just go and stop
Yeah.
thinking, stop worrying, just go and do. If you want to travel the world in a van, go and fucking do it, because the
Yeah.
problem is time is moving. And see, once you start going into your 40s and your 50s, like time starts to run out and you'll be a creature of habit and you're less likely to take the risks. And it's one of the things right now. I think I always highlight this to people. What is the worst case scenario? You probably end up exactly where you are. Like, say, for example, you quit and you move to Australia, you move to Dubai, you go traveling around Ireland, and you only have 3 months' wages, right? And you travel for 3 months and you run out of money. You just come back, or you move job and you don't like it, you just go back. And people are like, "Oh, but you can't." You can. It's one of the things where it's very, very simple. The worst case scenario is usually you end up where you are right now.
Yeah.
I think people overanalyze. Like, as long as you have a roof over your head and food, then the rest doesn't matter. People get stressed out about things that. I'm all for building a big business, building your career, but I do feel like people overemphasize the importance of trying to achieve happiness and
Yeah.
chase the ideal life, rather than actually just do what makes you feel good in the moment. Like for me, like today, I had one of the best. Went and trained this morning. Didn't go out last night. Woke up early. Went and trained. Listened to good music in the car on the way back. And if anybody knows, you know this, Mickey. Good music, good energy. I just felt invincible. I felt unbelievable this morning. But then, if you get wrapped up into that thought process, I'm sure this has happened to you, where you're like, oh, Joe, this person's moving on, and this person's married, and this person's getting engaged, and this person's getting kids, and this person looks like they have the ideal life, and they're building their dream home, and they've got a dog, and they've got everything sussed, and I don't even know my arse from my elbow.
Yeah.
It can make you fall in that, like you're doing something wrong when you're not.
Yeah. Well, I actually get it both ways. I get one side of the argument where people are going to me, you're 39, you're single. What's the story? What's the problem? You're hard to please. You need to get a move on. You don't want kids. You don't want this. You don't want that. Then I get other people that
People
are
love that.
people that are like fucking half my age are looking at me going, you have my dream life. You're
That
getting to go around
yes,
the world, DJ. You're getting to do this. You're getting to do that. You're getting to do it on your terms. I love your life. I have friends that are married. I have friends that are going out with people that were texting me while I was in New York last week going, lad, you're living the fucking dream. So I'm getting it from both barrels. And I can see why, like, it's not, it's actually not that nice hearing both ways for very different reasons. Like there is that whole hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, clock's ticking, and then that does, believe it or not, it does. Like I do think about that sometimes, but I don't put myself under pressure about it. When it happens, it happens. If it happens, it happens. But also, when the other thing is, like people are saying, like I want you. You have the life that I want. You have this that I want. I'm like, but that doesn't define who I am and what I'm about, and I definitely don't take it for granted. But if I was going to base my happiness just on gigging abroad and having a good social life or whatever and doing things, it would be a very sorry place because there's a lot more to it than that there, and it's not all fucking rainbows and lollipops. Um, Going back to your boy's question, I think a lot of people in rural sort of Ireland probably going through the same thing. You were saying about people getting older. The problem is you don't know anybody's timeline. Like your parents or your grandparents or whoever you're thinking about, maybe it's brothers, sisters, they could live for 10 years, they could live for 10 minutes, they could live for 20 years, they could fucking live for 2 days. So if you're waiting for the worst case scenario to happen in your life before you move and start living your life, no, that's not the way to be. If you say, for instance, the worst case scenario, you move to Australia, you're the other side of the world, something happens, you have to come home for a while, or you have to come home, but at least you tried. It's worse if you don't try and you're waiting to live your life until something devastating happens to your family. And like people will know what happened with my mum before Christmas. I've moved back down to Oma. I don't like Oma. It's not the place for me, but for the time being, needs must. But as soon as things start like getting cemented and getting in place and things start, even out again and just people get used to new routines, I'll plan where I want to be and what I want to do. But at the end of the day, it's just something I have to do for a very short period of time. But if you want to start a new life and you're not happy in this life, I would say you just have to go do it, because at the end of the day, your life's your life. You have your own timeline. Everybody has their own timeline. You can't wait for something bad to happen to other people for you to move along, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think one of the main things is that you feel like you have this like insane amount of time, and the thing is,
Yeah,
time's our most precious asset, and it's one of these things where you. I don't think people analyze enough. Like I've definitely been guilty of this, where you go through the motions, and it can just like one day flows into another, a week flows into a week, a month into another month, and a year goes by. And I feel like this happens quite a lot of people before they reflect and go like, is this where I want things to go? Am I really happy right now? Where am I fucking up? Just the quality
yeah,
of your life is determined by the quality of the questions you ask yourself, and asking yourself, is this what my ideal life is? Because I always turn around to people whenever I'm talking to them, and I'll be like, if you're not, what is your ideal day? And like, it can't be sipping cocktails on the beach every fucking day. I mean, like what really lights up your ideal week? And for me, that's what I do. I start writing things out, start pre-planning. To me, location isn't overly important because you can be miserable anywhere. So for me, it's more so about like rural Ireland, rural not, whatever it is. If you want a different job, you just go out and start putting action steps. The problem is people are thinkers. The fact you've even wrote this question shows it's been stewing in your mind. You know the answers, just go do it. You're technically procrastinating by asking this.
yeah,
And as much as that's frustrating, it's like when people go, "Oh, the most optimal morning routine or the most optimal gym program," like just doing the work on yourself and getting the needle to move. You figure it out during the reps. Like you only figure out anything whenever you're doing the process. You're actually doing it, and that's how you figure it out. And it's one of the things of there's two options for you, and I think this is the best thing ever. Alex Hormozy says it, and you'll be sick to death of me quoting him, but he says it's like the Matrix. Like whenever they gave Neo the chance, and if anybody hasn't seen it, this is pretty much what it's about. Pretty much, they give him the chance to quit, and the thing is, he knows if he quits, what life that brings him to. He knows it brings him back to where he was, and the thing is, that's not where he wants to go.
yeah,
He knows how that ends up. So the thing is, your options are quit or settle, and this is your life, and then you don't have the right to complain because you've chosen it. There's a very big difference. You're choosing your life every second of it. The minute you pretend like you're not, you've fallen into it. That's not true. You've chose every decision. You've made everything.
yeah,
And then the other option is you take the leap, you double down, you push through, or you take the gamble, and you don't know where that ends up. And that's the exact reason why I quit the fire service. I knew where that path went, and I was actually relatively happy with the fact of where it went, but I wanted to see what else was there. And for me, it would kill me not to see that. And I think the case of it's not the shoulda, coulda, woulda. It's the shoulda, coulda, wouldas that will end up being the real regrets in your life. Not that, fuck, I probably, Joe, that was probably a bad idea. But the thing is, I'm glad I done it because I learned from it. Whereas I feel like you're better moving or trying a new job and going, fuck, that wasn't for me, than it always being in the back of your mind because
yeah,
that will play more of a game with you than anything. Like I would never have dreamed I would be where. I'm not saying I'm anywhere special, but like in terms of business and shape and everything. If you had told me that about the fire service, where I'd be now 4 years later, I would have quit in a heartbeat. But the thing is, you don't know if it's going to go well, it's going to go bad. A lot of things come into play, so it's one of them things where I would have quit in a heartbeat. But you don't know how good it can be. Like, what if it can be better than you ever imagined? Because this is pretty much what happened to me. Like, I quit. I loved my fire service job, and I
yeah,
quit with the ambition of it being a bit better. And I mean, the life I have now is absolutely insane. Like I wouldn't trade it for the world. And it's one of the things where I think if I had stayed in the fire service, I wouldn't have had this. Like I would never have known, but I wouldn't even have dreamed of being this good. So imagine it goes better than you ever imagined. Imagine you move away or you start a new job, and then in that job you find the person you end up marrying, you find pure happiness, you get more money, you get more impact, you live a better quality life. It's such a good gamble because the thing is you have to look at yourself and go, right, I always say this analogy. Look at the cards you're holding and go, am I happy with these for life? If you are, hold the fuckers tight and don't fold and don't take a new hand. But if you're not happy, just fold the hand, just take a new hand. Because realistically, if it's shit, you can always go back to your old hand. Like, do you know what I mean? It's such a straightforward process. People just overcomplicate it because they overthink. Stop thinking and start doing, and you'll notice your life moves a lot faster in the right direction. In my honest opinion, I'm the worst person to ask because I'm such a speed person.
yeah.
I'm not a thinker. I'm a doer. I know that sounds like fucking Wall Street, but like it caused me issues because I'm a moron because I run into walls. But I learn from the mistakes, and it causes me to get things done faster, which I think is the main issue. Most people now, they spend too much time in their heads.
Yeah, but you're smart enough to surround yourself with the right people. Whereas some people surround themselves with the real wrong people, and they can either dampen down their like if you their dreams in a way. They can dampen them down by telling them like that's unrealistic, don't do that. They're too risk adverse. But if you surround yourself by the right people that'll speak logically to you about certain things, um makes all the difference. Because you're asked this question, it's really in your head. And as Tony said, that's a good thing and that's also a bad thing. I would say that you need to just either make a decision on it and with actions rather than just let it bounce about your head. And also the thing is, the more different opinions you get on the matter, especially if you're from rural area, I'm from a rural area. People are quite happy to live in a rural area and to die in a rural area. Um, there's there's not like new generation's a wee bit different, but the older generation and probably even some of the just generation before me are quite happy to be in these areas. But if you feel like you have more to give and more to do in the world or more to see in the world, I would say just get up and do it. And yeah, just make the decision to do it. And if you're going to give yourself 6 months, you're going to give yourself a year, or say to yourself, I'm going to try it for a year. It's not going to be, instant love and instant fucking, you know, you're not going to just instantly feel happier. It's probably going to be a building process in a new country or in a new location and a new job. But I would say just go for it and fucking,
With anything new, you're gonna
yeah,
feel experience. You're gonna experience nervousness, the fact that
yeah,
it doesn't feel right. There's also going to be shit patches. Like the comfortability of where you are right now is better than the unknown to your unconscious bias in your mind. And the problem is your mind will sway you that it's a 50-50 decision. So Naval Ravikant says if you can never make a decision, what you should do is always take the decision that seems. I know that sounds odd, but this works really, really well. So if you're struggling to make a decision, he always says take the decision that's going to cause you more pain in the short term because you'll get more long term gain.
yeah,
And without realizing it, your brain, if you have two decisions, right? So stay where you are right now or take the leap. Even if take the leap is the better option, right? Your brain subconsciously will know there's pain, frustration, anger. There's all these other emotions, the unknown. So even if it's a clear decision that you should take the leap, right? Your brain will have an unconscious bias to navigate away from pain. It's the way you are subconsciously programmed. So it'll make the other decision of staying where you are more pleasing to the mind. So you're almost like, oh, well, I'm 50-50. You're not. You've actually just, without realizing it, your subconscious mind is like, well, I don't want that. So we're going to try and make this, not, we're going to try and make this bias. And you'll not even realize that. But it's the reason why a lot of decisions go 50-50 is because your mind's not willing to make it up in case there's pain in the short term on that side, even though it's the better decision.
yeah,
Any pain your mind will deflect. And Val Ravikant says if you're 50-50 on decision and it's a life decision, take the one with the most pain because that's actually the right decision. Because in the long term, you'll always yield a better result from it. Whereas if there's no pain in the short term, he goes, you can guarantee there is pain in the long term. And that's what you're experiencing now because you probably should have made that sort of jump years ago. And I'm sure I'm speaking about this for everyone. When I talk about make the leap with a career, make the leap with it, asking that girl out, going to the gym. Whenever you actually put in the shift in any area of your life, you never ever regret it. Even if it wasn't the right decision, you never regret it because you do learn. So it's win or learn. The people that lose are the people that actually stay in the same place, and never make a decision.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
indecision, not making a decision, is a decision to stay in
yeah.
the same place.
Yeah, you're deciding not to move forward. That's what we always say. Like it's uh practice is controlled failure. It's simple.
Good
Yeah,
question.
that
I like
probably
that.
that probably brings us on to the next one. There's a question in. This is for Tony, clearly not me from current form. Hey
Sex
lads.
positions? No, sorry.
Oh, no, well, that is definitely about me. Hey lads, just about to start back in the gym, trying to transform my life for the better, both internally and externally. I mean, all probably is mine. What would Tony's main tips be to how to stay to a diet? Training isn't a problem for me because I actually love training, but I eat like a horse, and that has always been my issue. If my mouth's open, there's normally food inside it.
First thing, stop telling yourself you're a horse and that you have an eating problem, because by telling yourself that, you're associating
Yeah,
identity with it. It's like me saying I am an in shape, in fit, disciplined individual. You tell yourself something enough times for years and you start believing it. Like, you're selling that story to yourself, and you might be like, well, oh, I always am hungry. I'm always snacking. I'm always. You've created that identity, them routines, them habits, them mindset. It's going to take time to break them down. And the first thing I always say to people about fitness is, see, when you're getting involved now, I really have to frame your expectations. Realize it is going to be fucking tough. If it was easy, everyone would be running around with six packs and in the best shape ever. It's not meant to be easy. That's why it's hard to get in shape. That's why it's attractive, because most people
yeah,
can't sustain it because they haven't got the discipline, they haven't got the work ethic. So realize as well too, the training doesn't overly matter for you anymore if you really enjoy it, because that's not where your crutch is. Your crutch is food. So the only thing that actually matters
yeah.
to you is nailing the food. So if you didn't nail the food for me, I'd be like, I don't give a fuck if you're doing the training, because the food's the only thing you struggle with. And
Uh,
for me, it's one of the things where it's such a vitally important thing. So I think obviously you can talk through all the shit you'll read online, like habit stacking, prep your food in advance so that, like, you don't you don't find it as easy to break that. Buy your groceries online so you don't pick up shit in the shop. Eat meal plans so you're not doing flexible diet and so you're likely to go over calories. Use food. All these small tips, like download recipe books, use this, use that. Honestly, as cheesy as it sounds, you have to really ask yourself, what is this costing me? And I think that's the number one thing, because once you realize what eating shit is costing you, so all them hours in the gym are doing fuck all for you if you're
yeah,
not nailing that. So you're wasting your time there. So that's what it's costing you. Firstly, not wasting your time, but you're not really maximizing it. I just think I'm trying to hit home here, so I will sound hard. Secondly, then what I would look at is, what's it costing you with your sex life, your love life, your confidence? Like, can you put on a t-shirt and feel really good in it, or do you have a belly? Can you go on holidays and not feel completely comfortable? Do you have a good balance in your life with food, like a healthy food relationship, or is it like you just binge because of that? And then I would look at, I'm not saying reach out to me for help, but like if your back was sore, you'd probably go to a chiropractor or physio. If you're shit with that, you probably need accountability. There's a reason I've had a coach the last 7 years. It's not because I need to learn more. It's because the accountability. Whenever you pay for something, you always just stick to it more. That's not a pitch. It's just me being fucking honest. Give your friend a
yeah,
100 quid, and if you nail your dad for 6 weeks, you get it back. If you don't, give it to charity, or make them give it to somebody you don't like. I've done that before. So
yeah.
if, say, for example, somebody you really dislike, like, give it to them, and that'll motivate you to do more. So for me, it's just removing that identity, and then honestly, I'm not saying how bad you look at what it's actually costing you, and if it's enough of a reason you really want to be in that extra neck. For me, it's an identity thing. I don't want to be known as the person who, like, trained him as an average Nick. Like, I want to be known. Like, I sort of thrive in the identity of, like, being a leader now, sort of trying to lead from the front. And I think what would make a younger Tony proud, and that's who I'm really trying to lead. And I think, like, what it would be, like, Neil and Dad is just one of the things where I'm like, it's a non-negotiable. It's not like I will,
Yeah.
like, it's different if you're going out with family for a meal or something. But if I'm sitting about the house and I'm just overeating, that is absolutely ridiculous. Like, people, like, for
Yeah.
me, it's one of the things where people say emotional eating and stress eating. And I get that everybody has a different tie, and people have binge eating, and there's all these different, like, nuances to it. But I'm a very straightforward individual. Like, if you
Yeah.
need that sort of, like, cushioning, you need that sort of snowflake generation where, you can't be told, like, catch a fucking grip, like it's just you putting food in your mouth, then I'm not the right person for this advice, because I'm a very straightforward, disciplined individual. And it's not, I was never born like this.
I was about to ask that question.
No.
Did it always come easy for you diet wise to
Not
keep?
never comes easy for me. It's deadly. All of it's fucking really deadly. I have a Kinder Bueno hazelnut cream sauce downstairs from Marks and Spencer's, and I would love not more than every night to sit with a spoon and just fucking eat that fucker. It's unbelievable. Or Biscoff, or sit and eat ice cream all day. But the fact of the matter is, and don't get me wrong, at times everybody falls down, but it's one of the things where, for me, it doesn't come easy. I'm just fucking doing it. Like, it's
Aye.
like, I don't find it easy to get up at fucking 4:30 every morning, go to the gym for 5:30, 5:45, and train every morning. Some mornings it comes easier than others, but, like, it's not like I'm a morning person. It's not like I am a disciplined person. I am just a person who does the things, and then people associate that like, oh, I have that trait. It's not even. It's just a case of it doesn't matter. The thing is, stop making it optional. Like, stop making food choices optional. Stick to me and be strict on yourself until the discipline builds, and then once it builds, you can bring in flexibility. That's the main issue. Too many people are doing too much flexible straight away and then shoot themselves in the foot, or they're doing too much too fast. And you can slowly build your habits. You know, add an extra walk. And I'm not saying you have to go cold turkey and everything, but for me, it's one of these things where you're going to find it tough. Like, I still find it
Yeah.
tough, but you
Yeah.
build your character in the process. Like, you won't ever end up in the shape you want to be in unless you actually slowly go through the process. And you'll get tighter on your food and you'll still struggle to see results, but it's staying the course. And then over time, you build the confidence, you build the discipline, you build the character. And it's one of the things where you realize whenever you look back, like I realized, fuck, I used to struggle with gaining muscle. I used to struggle with confidence on the beach. I used to struggle with confidence with women. I used to struggle with sticking to actually the food plan. I used to struggle to hit like all of it. Like, I just wouldn't want to do steps after training. And the thing is, it's just making it like there's no ifs or buts. It's like whenever I used to finish the fire service after a long shift and I had to go hit legs. Like, it's not a choice. Like, I don't get the choice of, oh, I'm tired. It's like, oh, legs has to be hit before I go home. Like, there's no option. It's like
Yeah.
this is just part of your day.
It's part of
Same
your
as your
life.
yeah, like, it's just non-negotiable. Like, going to work 9 to 5, like for most people, that you don't turn around and
Non-negotiable.
go, yeah, you don't turn around and go, I don't feel like doing it. I'm not gonna go. You go, I don't feel like doing it, but I have to go. And that's the way it should
Yeah.
be for all them options, even with food. And for you, whenever you list out what it costs you, and if it doesn't cost you enough and it's not causing you enough pain, you will probably need to get enough pain and frustration and doing it long enough before you change. Because if you're a male in particular, I usually find males are stupid fuckers like me and they don't learn until there's enough pain associated with it. So they usually have to swing one way too far. So if you're in that middle ground where you're like not in bad shape but not in good shape, and you're like, oh, well, I'm struggling to go to that next level, usually a lot of men will struggle until something happens in their life to level them up, whether it's physically, mentally, whatever it is, like an injury, or they get heavier, or they get fatter, or they get complacent, they get whatever it is, and then they hit that low point and then they can go higher. So ideally, you don't want to do that, but most men struggle to do that without pain. So for me, it's like, what pain and what is this costing you now, and will that motivate you enough to change? Because motivation will go. It's committing to the process, and it's a very it sounds like a very straightforward answer, like just do it. But it's one of the things. Oh, how bad do you want it? It's not about that. It's about reframing it to yourself that like everything is non-negotiable. Like, it's not an option. Like, it's just getting done. And people be like, "Oh, but I'm hungry." You're fucking dating. You're gonna be hungry, you stupid
Yeah.
fucker.
If you're not hungry, you're probably not doing it right.
Yeah, you can don't get me wrong, you can volume it and you can fight it down. But like, if you're not a little bit tired, if you're not a little bit hungry,
Yeah.
if you're not a little bit, like, I'm not saying to starve yourself by any means. Like, you can volume eat and fight off hunger all day, drink fizzy, drink 0 calorie. Like, you can, but if you don't feel the pinch when you're that and you're like,
Yeah.
fuck, this is tight, I'm getting a bit of cravings, I'd love a Chinese. As you said, Mickey, you're probably not really out of second gear. You're probably getting fuck all difference. Like,
Yeah.
and that's me being honest. It's not meant to be easy. Stop
Yeah.
reframing that from yourself. And people aren't naturally good at that. And people aren't naturally good in shape. You don't see what goes on in their mindset behind those doors. Everybody is the exact same. And once you get that into your head, you realize others just work harder at it than you. And that should frustrate you, because the hardest workers are always the luckiest. And so when people turn around to me and go, oh, like, you're just popping on Instagram now. You just got lucky with a couple of reels. I'm like, shut the fuck up. I'm 60 reels ahead. I'm just working harder than everyone else right now. And
Yeah.
it's as simple as that. And the harder you work, the luckier you get in every aspect. And that goes for relationships, that goes for your career, that goes for taking the gamble. It's everything. I highlight that all the time. It's just reps and hard work. That is all any area is. And people just like to, oh, but I have this mindset issue, or I have this mental block. When you do the work, you get the result and you build the belief, and then everything else builds. It's how I done every single thing. I didn't think, oh, how do I get good at saving money? You just start doing your best, and then you learn, you improve, and whenever it matters to you, you'll make it work. If it doesn't matter, you'll not make it work. So stop telling yourself it matters if you're not doing it, because it doesn't.
Yeah. That's exactly. It's the same as when people think they're training hard enough, but yet they realize they're not training that hard until you train with someone that fucking balls to the wall, then you're like, oh Jesus. Like
Yeah,
I thought I was training hard, or you thought you were doing this, or you thought you were doing that.
Joseph
It's
noticed
just,
that with me whenever he was living with me, like my videographer. He noticed whenever he's living with me with food and training, like he'd be like, "Oh, do you not swap days around because we could do this that day?" And I goes, "No." I was like, I don't
Oh,
I don't swap train days. I was like, I always do it like this. And it's not me being a
yeah,
robot. I'm like, it's non-negotiable. And he goes like, and like and he's like, but like we're going out for food here, not nail this or do this. And I'm like, my calories get nailed every day. Like it's non-negotiable. Like it's just part of life. Like I'm just like,
yeah,
this is the way it rolls. Like, and he was like, fuck, like you think you're into fitness and then you realize like there's levels to it in every area where people are like not missing meals. And I'm like, but if you, it depends on what level you want to go to and how quick you want to get there too. But I find fitness, business, everything, relationships, I find that unless you give it 100%, you end up getting fuck all of a reward. It's like fitness. If
yeah,
you don't nail the diet, the training, the steps, all of it, the cardio, whatever you're doing, you don't nail each week individually. You actually end up putting in like 80% effort and you get fuck all reward. And it takes the same amount of time usually. It's not massively different and the same mental
yeah,
burnout, but you get fuck all. It's like with business, with you and DJ, like you can lean into 80% of the work and you should feel like you should get a reward because you've got a bit more balance. But the thing is, you're never going to have balance if you're really striving for greatness in any particular area because greatness and balance are a bit of an opposite equation. If you want to be average, you look for balance. If you want to be great in any area, you're going to have to be slightly unbalanced in that to an extent versus what most people see
yeah,
as that. But I like to view my life as perfectly unbalanced to the way that I want it.
yeah, yeah. It's always going to be unbalanced to a certain point because of what you want and what you need and where you want to get to.
Yeah,
The people
people,
that are,
it's the framing of
uh,
balance to an individual. Like I think it's the expectation that your life has to be balanced
yeah,
is the main issue with that for a lot of people because they're like, oh, I'm not seeing my friends and Joe, like I need to take away at the weekend because like you need to live at the weekend and you need to have a life and Joe, I need to go out here and I need to have a drink here and I need to and you're like you're feeding yourself this own tripe that's
yeah,
making you feel better because you're like I need balance, but balance is where you define it as because it's your fucking life. And for me, that is very one-sided to most people. But I'm like, I don't want to live like most people because most people live a life I wouldn't fucking want. And it's that saying, you
yeah,
don't take advice from somebody you don't want their life or you don't want their position. Like if I give you fitness advice and I'm a fat fuck, probably not the best person to get fitness advice off.
yeah.
If I give you relationship advice right now, probably still not the best person to give you relationship advice, to be honest. I'll give you some because I've fucked it up. So that's from a metric of learning.
Yeah,
But also, like, but if you want money advice or financial advice or fitness advice, probably a decent person to give you it. But like, if I
uh,
want like life advice, I don't go to somebody that's 22 and barely lived. I go to like my mom, my dad, people that are older than me that live a good quality of life. That I'm like, you're content, you're happy.
yeah,
You're more, and that's why going to certain people for certain things is key at certain time periods. Like I remember coming to you quite a bit during my breakup and being like, what's your take on this or that? Because I was like, you've went through similar situations before. So you're
yeah,
going to somebody who's more experienced in that field and you're trying to figure out like, right, well, does it, and it's all advice. Like nobody actually knows. Like nobody
yeah,
knows the answer but you anyway. But it's like you're trying to figure that all out. But it's like that's why you don't take advice from people that aren't in the position you want to be in because it makes no sense. It's like taking advice on finances from somebody that's skint. It makes
aye.
fuck all sense. Like absolutely none.
It's the business teacher in school giving business advice.
Advice, yeah. I know that
You're
sounds
like,
shite, but like it should be somebody who's run a business.
it,
The problem is they don't pay enough.
that's exactly what it is. They don't pay enough, and that's why you see like stuff like the Harvard Business School pay massive money every like I think it's every 3 years to some huge CEO to come in and actually teach real business, which is good. But what
Problem
I
is the thing in schools as well. They probably assume that you're an anomaly. Like they probably assume like I don't really run a business. Like I'm a coach or Joe. There's nothing wrong with a person who teaches it because you're working with what you got. Like you know, that's the wage, that's the way it runs.
yeah,
And every business, like what I know about business is very different to like, for example, like I know fuck all about running an in-person business, like a restaurant or something with overheads. Like, fair enough, the property has a lot of overheads and that, but like I'm talking about like you
yeah,
setting up a shop, a cafe, a bakery, a fucking cooking place, like whatever it is, like a normal business, like a hardware shop. Like I don't really understand like Joe, you wouldn't. Now every business is different, but like I understand the online space, but it's one of them things where like if you ask me about an in-person business, I can give you an overview of business, like when to increase
yeah,
prices and but I can't. Like I'm not the man to be breaking down like cost to profit margins for all that
yeah,
shit. So it's one of them things where I think people do need to be careful with to get advice from too, because I feel like even if
yeah,
you don't be taking our word for everything, like
yeah,
take what you find beneficial and then leave the rest. Like we could do 400 podcasts and you could be like, fuck this, unbelievable. And I say that, and then you go, you know what? I don't know about that because you have to decide what's right for your life. And the thing is, we're trying to figure it out as well. And it's like,
Yeah.
take the bits that you like, and you're like, do you know what? I believe in that. I sort of trust their word in that. But you know what? I actually think they've got that a little bit wrong. I need balance. I need this. And then you forge your own path, and that's actually exactly what you want.
Last question. Well, we actually got two. Tony, as you know, I've been doing a bit of High Rocks training lately. I've signed up to a High Rocks event in October.
Is this the question or is this you?
This is a semi question, right? Mark McCann. I'm doing a High Rocks event in October in Madrid. Mark thinks you should do it with me.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah, there you go. Mark told you it shoot it down straight away.
Straight away, no. Rather shoot myself in the foot.
Right, last question.
Dorgan wrote to me about doing the Goggins challenge about a month and a half ago, and I goes, I don't know about that. And I said this like last week, or the week before to you, and did I say this? No.
No.
And pretty much he texted me back being like, I text him back being like, I'll do it, no issue. I can do that easy. And I goes, but it's just going to take me a long time here to run it because I goes, I'm just slow.
Right.
I'm ran. And he goes, how quick can you run a mile? And I goes, I'll run 2 mile right now. I goes, I'll run a mile right now. And he goes, best of luck with that. And I told our Shauna or my mom, I goes, I'm just gonna go out here and run a mile. And they were like, you'll not be able to. So I went out and ran 2 on purpose in my Crocs, no change, just ran 2 miles in Crocs. It took me 27 minutes. It took me 13.5 minutes. Now I went at a very slow pace so I wouldn't burn out. But the thing is, I ran out of pure stubbornness. But it's also one of the things for me. See, challenges. The main reason I would be doing like the Wim Hof for that is to one, build myself, but it's also to help build the platform, and it's to bring people together and show that you lead from the front. See, for me, I think if I was to dive into like a High Rocks or a Goggins, people like there's always something next. I just find people find that like semi disengaging because it's like, here's another challenge that shows that you're so extreme. Whereas for me, what actually brings my quality of life up, and I was like, right, well, what is it? For me, I have no real like. See the way people get bored of like bodybuilding, or like fitness. I honestly feel like that's because they don't get results. Like I feel like that's because you aren't constantly like I am constantly getting in better shape. Like when I look at myself, this sounds egotistical as fuck, but every 6 months, 12 months, I take a video when I lean back down. I'm like, fuck, I cannot believe I look that good. Like compared to where I started, and it fills me with joy and pride, and the fact that it's continually getting better. And I feel like, yes, you can fall off because the workouts, but that's where you get a training partner. But I use it as like a meditation more than anything. I churn out negative thoughts. And I think it's just the way people look at it. They look at it like a chore, whereas I look at it like a blessing. And that's one of the things for me. I don't know if I'll ever steer away from it. Like I owe my life to the gym and training and headphones on.
Yeah.
And I completely get why people move, but
yeah,
no, High Rocks can go fuck.
The only reason I'm doing it is it's in October and I want it's either that
it's a goal. It's a goal.
Like, or do a marathon this year, and marathon just bores the fuck out of me.
No way.
Thought of it. So and I'm enjoying doing the High Rocks training with Darren.
I do a High Rocks before do a marathon because I think a marathon is just it's one of these things where people are like, oh, I must do a marathon. I'm like, fuck me.
Also marathon runners all look like shite. They look like they're fucking
life. I answered that earlier in my Q&A. Somebody goes, will marathon running hurt my luck? And I was like, look at a marathon runner and look at a bodybuilder. There's a reason the bodybuilders walk everywhere and lift, and then there's a reason the marathon runners look the way they do and run. Your body drops muscles because it doesn't like carrying additional weight.
No.
So it's going to make you light as possible in every aspect. So like as you said, now don't get me wrong, not every marathon runner looks like shit, and a lot of people who do like the 5 and 10Ks can look powerful and strong, but like look at a sprinter, look at a marathon runner, look at a bodybuilder. They're the 3 builds you get from what you do. So for me, it's like, right, well, where's that line that you want? Yes, you can be a hybrid athlete, like High Rocks athletes are like CrossFit builds sometimes.
Yeah,
I feel like that is like a good look.
That's
like,
a good look. That's a good look.
Most people don't want to look the way I look. Most people want to look like a high level CrossFitter. They don't want to look like I'm quite blocky now. Like I'm like at the stage like clothes struggle to fit me in certain places, and Joe, I bulk up and I get way bigger and I'm gonna get bigger. Like I'm at that stage where people are probably like, that's a wee bit much in certain areas, and that's completely fine for them. But for me, it's like it's interesting when I do that because I don't get me wrong. If I fought, I know that sounds terrible. Like you'll complete a high rocks no matter what way you show up. It's a
Yeah.
good shot, but it's like if there's a possibility of me not completing it, I would be more tempted to do it. Do you know, like the way Wim Hof, I was like, "Fuck, I'm nervous about this. Like I'm panicking."
I would see my thing is I've already watched boys get times. So I'm like, if I done a shit time, I'd be really afraid of posting it. So I know I'll pump enough pressure on to get it done. And that's just where I'm at. That's one reason I'm
Oh
doing it.
no, no chance.
And also Madrid is kind of cool to go to October in Madrid and do it. And it's kind of
Yeah, I
like,
rate that. I think
and
it's a nice goal. Like, see if you're a
uh,
normal and you want something different. Like, it's just like I done the ice baths to an extent. It's like a
uh,
different goal. But for
yeah.
me, I just don't like anything to actually affect my weight. So
Well,
for me, that
that,
that would take away from the goal. The goal now for me is getting fucking humongous.
well,
So
I think that's why Mark listens to the podcast. I think that's why he texts me. Right, final question from Ethan Press. Ethan Press is a up and coming DJ. Actually, I think I'm nearly sure he is. Anyway, love the podcast, lads. Been listening to listened to it flat out the last couple of weeks. Have a question for you if you are taking any in the next few pods. What's your thoughts on Gary Braca? Feel like he offers a lot of great info, but it's hard to tell if some of it's bullshit sometimes.
I don't know who Gary Braga is. I'm gonna have to look him
Is
up.
Gary Braca the boy that done the fast for Dana White?
I thought Gary Braga was the fruit fucker.
The fruit fucker.
Do you know the boy that curses fruit? He's
He's
something
the
about Dana White. Dana White's pinned.
he's the boy that tells you you're going to die on a certain fucking date if you don't change your life. And then,
I don't really know him.
the only thing I know is the stuff he does
Want
with
me to
Dana
play a
White.
clip? I'll play one random clip here. Let me see. What do we got here? Have we got anything that's of use? Right, we have one clip called "You're New." Right, with there. Why people?
Know that people talk about the expense of eating organic, but this is the exact same brand. This is non-organic. This is organic. This is only $1 more. But think about this: more nutrient-dense foods require less satiation. So you actually eat.
That's all right. Like he's just talking about organic food there.
Yeah. I do think the 72-hour fast are a wee bit too much.
No, I find I no. Don't get me wrong.
Fasting's, I think 72 is a wee bit long.
For me, I've heard like I see the problem with that is for me, it's really not good for you building muscle, so it's just not going to happen for me, right? But the thing
Yeah.
is, I have heard of people saying that like they feel closer to God, they realize that like it pushes them mentally. So like if you want to do it once a year or something, you find it really beneficial or something like
Yeah.
right. But say if you start saying that it cures fucking cancer and it's going to sort everything out, I don't necessarily believe it. Now I do believe it probably does have some promotion benefits,
Yeah.
like it
I
probably
think,
does.
yeah.
But
Definitely it would, yeah. But
but at the same time, like it's one of these things where like what like he's got fucking some really big people on here. Like that's a fucking massive name as well. Holy fuck, Steve Harvey there.
yeah, he saved Dana White's life, like.
Yeah, like see the thing is if for me it's one of them things so it depends what's going on with you and I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I know enough about it. Like I don't know enough about fasting to really deep dive in it, but I do believe that a lot of people overemphasize, and this is probably just like a fucking like when people are like see the amount of dickheads that are doing carnivore diets now, like that is just not for me because you don't get me wrong, you are completely fine to do it, and you do get health benefits from a carnivore diet. Like I'm not gonna lie, you get healthier bloods, you get more mental clarity because you're all organic. You're eating far less sugar,
Yeah.
because you're usually just eating fruit and meats. And the thing is, I think it's a really healthy diet. But the thing is, I am not gonna do that for life. Like I am not gonna have wild salmon and blueberries every fucking morning for the rest of my days. I'm not gonna have mints and fucking like it's just for me, it's like I'd rather
Yeah.
have a more balanced approach because for me, if you sway into that diet style,
Yeah.
you're looking answers in somewhere. Right now, I'm all game for trialing it and then doing like an experiment around it, and then incorporating it, being like, oh, do you know what? Actually, I do struggle with mental fog, and I have a really busy work life. Carnivore works for me Monday to Friday, and I try to keep it tight with the weekend. You just find what works for you, and that's the same with the fasting. That's the same with the carbs. Like I never eat carbs early in the day because they put me to sleep. But although I train early, people are like, oh, but you have to build it around yourself. Like people are like, oh, you should still eat before training. You should eat after carbs. I'm like, mate, I can't because I'll be in sleep and I've got work to balance and everything. So you have to figure out what works for you. In the Gary Bracken thing, there's not. I don't know if there's like it's hard to know. I could probably look up on PubMed here, like fast in probably health benefits, and I'll type in PubMed and see if there is a meta-analysis,
Yeah.
because the meta-analysis will call it straight away here. Yeah, like see, the problem is though, like most studies are like it says here, like effects of fasting in human compared to non-interventional diet, calorie restriction, a meta-analysis of random controls trials. So like that's comparing like dieting to fasting. Like, but the thing is, like they're all obesity related.
Yeah. Well, also the point is too, if you're obese and you've got a lot of body fat, you can fast for longer periods of time because you have enough fucking fuel hanging about your body. And that's the sad reality of it compared to someone who's no leaner. You know, if you say your plane crashes and you're going to starve to death, normally the people with a lot more excess body fat are going to be a lot better off
Yeah,
because
like, and the thing
you have a
is,
lot more shit to burn through.
yeah, well, like if you, without sounding horrible, like if Jesus was fat as fuck, he would have lasted longer on the cross. And people will hate me for saying that, but that's actually reality. Like if you had tons of body fat, you're laughing your balls off there. But Joe, like whenever this sounds terrible, but my auntie slagged me about starving or something. She slagged me the other week, and she gave me a load of shite. And I turned around and goes, "Fuck up! You're not gonna starve. Like you'll be sweet for about a month there, like." And like I'd be sweet for about a month. Like everybody doesn't realize how much body fat they have, and that's just the humor in my house. If you find that offensive, fucking take a fucking let us sleep and wipe your eyes. Because you'd never fit in with me. Yeah, that's the fucking start of the ice, like the start of the iceberg. But for me, it's one of the things I looked that up there. Everything is relating around fast and losing body fat, but obviously you're going to lose body fat because not only are you going to lose weight and lose more than if you're in a deficit because you're not eating anything, so you're naturally going to weigh lighter.
Yeah,
So you're
yeah.
dropping all your water weight too. It's like going keto. For me, I would need to look up more on like see there's obesity health metrics and all this, but they're all gonna come in. And the thing is, see a lot of like the bodybuilding world that's really into fasting, like in the mornings and all. That's because if you take growth hormone in the mornings and then
Yeah,
fast,
yeah,
it
that's the
speeds up
reason.
fat loss massively, and it's because you're hacking your system. So for me, it's one of them balancing things. Like I don't like to bash anyone at all. I think it's one sided. Like even Eddie Abdu, I'm like I see the benefits of some of the stuff he does, but I think slating whey protein creates a barrier to getting your protein, and that's just simply not needed when there's nothing wrong with food because it's not made from it's not grown out of the ground. Doesn't mean that's fucking evil. I think eating healthier food in general is a really good message. But then there's also like, well, I'm a vegan and I struggle to hit my protein. Well, like a vegan protein powder is a pretty good shout. So you just have to weigh up what actually complements your life and use
Yeah,
common sense and don't treat like the Liver King or the carnivore diet or fasting as like the
the
next
gospel.
level thing. It's not because like there's people that have gotten shape without it. There's people that got in shape before. There's people who do it and find real good health benefits, mental benefits, and vice versa. The same with keto. You just find what complements your life and doesn't complicate it and levels you up and you'll be happy out. I'm on 4% almost
Yeah,
of
well, so am I actually. Right, I'm on 4% as well.
there we go. We'll
But
wrap
right,
her there.
we're
Make sure you
rapper. Go
like,
ahead.
like, share, subscribe if you're on YouTube. Give it
Yeah,
some fucking love on Spotify, anywhere you can. Share it with your family. Share it with people in the street. If you're walking by, you're listening to this on the plane, tap the boy beside you and go, you need to get on this shit, motherfucker. And we'll see you next week. Simple as that.
stream my new song as well, please.
There you go. Plug as well at the end. Very, very
Well,
nice.
right, see you later. Good luck. Bye
Big
bye.
love.